Awesome, Audrey. Welcome,
Ooh,
welcome, welcome.
thank you.
Audrey
Thank
from my
you.
Global Game Changers team. I'm so excited. This is the first time you and I have had a one-on-one conversation, other than like 20 minutes ago to get prepped. And welcome to ABCs of Leadership. I'm really excited that you chose this topic today with the letter O of openness. And I'd like you just to take a minute. Tell us
Yes.
how openness um, is a principle of leadership and how that is helping you move forward in your life.
Ah, openness. It's it involves being honest with yourself, and really like taking ownership. And those two things are both principles of leadership. Um, and being vulnerable. Um, and I think like um, without being open and openness, then there's no growth. Uh,
Mm,
and because you're not being honest, and that ties into integrity and authenticity, and so all these things, openness, just it was like envelops such a large, it has a very broad umbrella. So,
mm, yeah, yeah, I see that too. Yeah, just I really appreciate you coming and being open because I've seen you grow as you've opened up, and like you said, that vulnerability. Sometimes there's a hesitation there. We're not always like super excited to jump into opening up until we know we're in a place where we can trust, right?
right, right, yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely, and I found that for myself, in this journey, is that you know, I'm feel like I'm in a safe place. I trust these people, that I'm around, that I'm with, and so I find it that it has been easier for me to open up and be more vulnerable. It's still a stretch for me because I tend to be up until now closed off, and I internalize things, but I have learned and realized that through this journey that I get to open up, and I get to be vulnerable, and I get to really just that honesty with myself, so I can have that vulnerability and openness with everyone else.
Awesome. And so what has come out of that? What has grown out of that openness in your life?
Mm. Um, I think just I think confidence in and that it's okay. You giving myself permission to be open, and so I think that's probably a big thing for me, is that it's okay. It's okay to open up. It's okay to show my emotions. It's okay to really say what's on my mind, and kind of what my thoughts are, um, and uh, so it's been a huge stretch. This whole journey has been just an extremely big stretch for me, but it's a rewarding stretch. And I'm like have like this, I don't know, this deep gratitude, just in having gone through the journey thus far, and then what it's like I looking forward to seeing what's next. What's what's down the road. What do I get to experience? So
Mm,
um, yeah, it's just been, I think gratitude, and then just recognizing that it's okay. It's okay to be open. Yeah.
yeah. Awesome. It's okay. That's so good. It's okay to be open. I love that. And like just the confidence because it's like it's okay to do that, right? There's so many things where I'm like looking at other people doing stuff and I'm like, oh, we're allowed to do that in life in general, right? Like, oh, like I can just like stand up and make myself important. What? It's like there's it's just I don't know if that's a good example of the things, but I just can see like that thought process going through my mind when you're talking about that. Like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. I guess that's okay to do this, right? Like it's okay to
Yeah, yeah.
go out and make her, be heard and let our voice be heard and share and try hard things. So tell me more. I want to hear it because you say, on this journey, like, do you have like a demarcation of a starting point on this journey? I want to hear a little bit more about where you feel like this journey is starting kind of and like where you're going with it.
My journey started, I could not sit here and tell you that I loved myself. Um,
Mm,
and that was like a huge part of why I started. Thank you. With HCL, was, because I want to get to a point where I am able to just like fully, you know, let go and, and live a life, you know, live life with abandon. No holding back, no restriction, no, hesitation. Just open, honest, genuine authenticity is like probably one of my strongest desires. Um, and it's something that I have not had, up until, now. And it's something that, every day, and I'm realizing like these little things. And the more I learn about authenticity, the more I learn is like I'm so inauthentic in so many ways. I can be authentic, and I can have integrity, and I can
yeah.
be all these things. I can be honest with myself. I can be honest with others, and but it's like
Yeah.
it's all these like little things that is like tied into all these things, and that it's like wow, I never realized before, and so the awareness of it all has been incredible. So um, yeah, so this journey, started with me not being able to say that, I love me. And so I'm able to say that I love me, but there's still something that holds me back from like truly, I think it's like accepting me, in all that encompasses. So that's kind of like my journey is in acceptance. And I think in accepting, then you get to let go, and live with abandon, and just like live life large. I'm a loving, powerful, free woman, and I want to experience that freedom, and so I have big things on the horizon. I'm
Hmm.
creating a nonprofit, and then also, I have like these business things that I would like to, also, jump into. Um, but all of that, um, I get to be a certain type of person. I get to be a master leader, and that is also why I'm here, is to be, that master leader. I stand for transformation, inspiration, and accountability. So, and it all starts with openness
Right. And being open to take the first step, right?
and risk, open to risk. Yeah.
Being open to risk, being open to share. Wow. That is gold. I love that. Thank you so much. So I just yeah, I just received that. I think that's a beautiful goal. So you feel like you haven't been able to tell you started where you didn't love yourself. And now how do you feel about yourself?
Well, I'm able to say that I love myself, but I'm unable to say, that there's still something there. I'm like, I've made huge strides just to be able to say that I love myself. But there's still something there, that I get to, explore and figure out, and I think it just comes down to, accepting and letting go of their story there, that
Yeah.
I still get to let go of, um,
Yeah.
and once it's like, okay, bye, goodbye,
Yeah.
then I feel like, yes, I I am able to live, you know the person that I am. There's still some clouds and some things that are like in the way, and it's all me. uh, it's all me. So once I get me out of the way, then, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a limit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. Yeah, you'll find the story, right? And once you find that story, then you get to, it's like you say, "Oh, that's the story. Oh, well, that's a great story." Okay. I liked that. That was great. Okay, now moving on, right? It's just like um something,
Right?
I
Yes.
don't know, what did I write down yesterday? Things don't diminish. So some I'm trying to remember what it was, but it's like, yeah, the stories don't diminish until we acknowledge them, right? The healing doesn't happen until we like I think somebody was talking about resentment maybe, and they're like, yeah, the resentment's not gonna go away if you just stuff it. But when you like bring it out and like, oh yeah, I feel like resentment now, it's like, okay, now it's you're being authentic and open. Oh yeah, I'm feeling resentment because XYZ story. And now I get to make a choice. It's like becomes a choose your own adventure now. It's like, okay, so you can like choose to hold on to resentment and like experience this, or I could like let go of the resentment and go this direction, right? And like, what would that look like? Oh, you get to make a conscious choice about it. But yeah, when we just try and pretend it's not there, um, it I don't know. Like you said, a lot of times there's still something there. What is it? It's like, okay, find that, release it, move forward, right?
Yeah.
That's
And
beautiful.
then we're unable to
Yeah.
move forward if we're not, like you said, if we're not acknowledging it.
Yeah.
And so, I think awareness, is like the first step to change. And so if we don't know what we don't know. So, and then, once we see it, we acknowledge it, thank you, don't need you anymore,
Yeah.
and then, move forward. And,
Mm.
I ran across a quote yesterday. It might have been from the book I was reading. I don't remember. I was looking at so many things yesterday. Um, and it was an Oprah quote. And the first part was, um, it was like, forgiveness is like surrendering, the hope of what could have been. And there was more to that quote, but that's what hit me. And it's like, wow. And so, I've that's been running through my head and running through my head, like the rest of yesterday, and like, last night, and even like this morning, it still is, and that's important, to be able to, like, forgive ourselves also,
Mhm.
for, either what could have been, and that all ties into, that acknowledgement, and being open. It's like being open with ourselves, and not only open with others, but just, being open, and, with ourselves. And so, yeah.
That is so true. I love that. I love that. This is so, and I love that you brought Oprah into it too. Another lady. She's
Yeah,
got a lot of
yes.
good open energy. She's opened a lot of hearts. So, um, and yeah, I just love that. It comes down to forgiveness, right? Like I see that as a Christian. I'm noticing, somebody years ago, like 15 years ago, I think I was listening to this guy, and he's like, number one underlying problem of any illness is going to be unforgiveness. Really? okay, right? And so it's like what you said, then you go back as a Christian and you're, oh, forgive, right? And then people are mad. Well, mad at him about that. And he's like, oh, what do you think's easier? Like forgiving the sin? They're like healing the body, or like getting people to believe that they're forgiven or that they could forgive others. Like healing the body is easy, right? The hard part is the forgiveness. How do you forgive yourself? How do you forgive someone else? That's the tricky part. That's the real challenge. And I love what you said about that. So yeah, tell us more. Like just like how has forgiveness opened up your world? How has it opened up your heart and opportunities? And like specifically, I would say in relationships. So, relationship with yourself, if you want to talk about that, or others.
Hmm. Forgiveness. I get to keep working on that one. I struggled. I'll give you like one instance. I struggled because I was in the army, got out for all the wrong reasons, and had a lot of regret about that, because I loved it and I really wanted to stay in. It was going to be a career, but I made the decision that I made. And so, I always had that regret, always had that regret. And it's so, and, I would speak about it and it would, it always hit me with like this, tremendous emotion. And then I'd have more regret, more regret. And so actually, when I was going through, my training initially, um, then going through 40, um, I was speaking with a friend and we were talking about, just many different things and letting go of things and being able to forgive and all that. And so I went, I kind of went to that memory and it's like, what why, and I just kept asking myself, why do I feel, why are the emotions there, why do I feel this, why do I feel that? And then I finally got like to that point, and I'm crying, I'm like blubbering like a baby, and then it's like, I I spoke to that Audrey, at that time, and I was like,
Mm.
I forgive you for the decision that you made. um and it wasn't easy for you, and all these different reasons, and all the, just to kind of just forgive myself for my thoughts and for the way that I was feeling and for everything that memory brought up for me. And and I don't, and ever since then, I look back at that memory, and it's a memory, and it was impactful. It was life impacting. But I don't carry that, you know, I don't carry that same feeling and that same regret that I did before. And so, when I do, and there's been other things along the way, little things here and there, that it's like, okay, I get to forgive myself, and I will. And then it changes. It's like the perspective, changes, and those feelings, that heavy, weight that just kind of carrying around with me, up until that point, is like it's lifted, and it's light. So it's like it just gets lighter and lighter and lighter. The more that I, work through things, and the more that I forgive myself for things, and forgive others for things. So yeah, it's very key, you know, it's very key for the inner work and for growth. And yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Love that. Thank you, Audrey. Thank you so much. I love that because what you described to us is an openness that allowed you to see that where you were stuck was at that point of judging yourself for having made the wrong decision, and you allowed yourself to say, hey, I forgive you for making that decision. I see, right? Just like someone, like a third party would come in and say, Audrey, back, like, I see all that you did. Like, you're such a great woman, right? And sometimes we forget to be our own cheerleaders, right? And that's a real
Yes. Yeah.
that can be the game changer, right? And sometimes we get to be our own drill sergeant and come in there with some, some kindness sometimes too, right? Like, it depends on the moment what we need. We get to play all the parts, right? And when we all get grace, right? We get to give other people grace. We get to receive grace and give ourselves grace for whatever we chose in the past up until now, right? And then if we don't like what we chose, we can, like you just did, you go back into that moment. Oh, wow. I acknowledge you for making this decision. This is the decision you made at the time. Awesome. Okay, well, right? And then, like, move forward with love and acceptance of, we're not going to sit in regret, because that's not going to change the past. But if we're open to forgiveness, now we can get in that space where we can release all the energy around it, right? The regret, the resentment, the anger, the frustration, whatever, we can release that. Now we can open up our whole world, open all the doors that have been closed, right? Just open those up to whatever possibility that we can imagine and desire to create. So I'm excited to see what
Yeah.
your nonprofits and all those exciting stuff. So just to wrap up here, is there, like, maybe I'd love to hear just quickly about your vision for the future. You said you're starting up a nonprofit. Can you tell us more about that and where we can expect to find you in the world, right? People that want to
You can
see
expect
where
to see me
you're going.
everywhere.
Like, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I am creating a nonprofit to be able to send young people on mission trips. And it's currently I'm thinking along the lines of they could be evangelical, they could be educational, they could be service projects, humanitarian. So yeah, and I'd like it to
That
be national, international, send kids, young people all over the world. So yeah,
I love it.
right,
I love it. This is like, I just like
everywhere.
love our team so much. This is why I do the ABCs of leadership, because I'm like, world, you got to meet these incredible people that I have met, right? I'm just like, hallelujah. That is so cool. That's exactly it. So, because on Friday, I was like, or Thursday, I guess, and Friday, I was like thinking about that exact thing that you're creating, of like, man, I got these 4 kids and I'd sure like them to be able to do these things. And like, I was talking to this lady on Thursday. She's like, yeah, when my kids were 16, they like found all this sponsorship to be able to do these incredible things. And I'm like, I love it. Like, what you're just speaking into me is like exactly what I was thinking about. Like, how do we get the resources to pour into these youth, right? Like, all the youth, right? The wise, the branches on the tree that are our future. Like, these kids are our future. We are turning the leadership of this world over to the children, because they're the ones, like the youth and the young people, they're the ones that just are gonna, I don't know, they're gonna do incredible things. So let's like do what we can to get them connected to the opportunities that will help them, pull them out of whatever limitation they've been taught to believe into, just like expand their mind into open, infinite possibilities, right? That's like
Yes,
my
exactly.
I don't know if what I said connects with what you're talking about, but I'm like, it's awesome. These youth, we can do so much with them. So I'm super excited to get on board with you and see what we can create. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So good. So good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, well, thanks for coming, Audrey. Is there any final little, like, thingy
tidbits.
and
You know what? You know, it starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with each one of us. And just little steps, and just really be open to, being, looking inside, and really, looking and seeing, okay, what's here, and why am I feeling this? Why do I think this? And then, just, and just keep digging, just keep asking those whys. And why is that important to me? And why is that important to me? And just keep, um, and really, do the inner work. And then, also, just to be in contribution, because a lot of what we're feeling, um, is oftentimes resolved in us contributing, and being, giving and generous, and we get to be open.
yeah,
We're unable to be giving and generous if we're not, open. And so, yeah, openness, I mean, like I said, it has this huge umbrella, and it's something, and it can be scary for an individual. But if you're just taking these, just one step, that's all it takes, one step. I read this book where this gal, she was 76, I think, or 70 or 80s. I think she was 76. And she walked from New York City all the way to Miami. And she walked, and just one day she decided she's going to walk to Miami. So from New York
yeah,
City, she walked to Miami. And when she got to Miami, the reporter asked, how did you do it? And she said, well, I just took one step at a time. So she just, and that's, one step, one step, one step, because one step, look, one step, one step, one step, and look where she ended up, a couple thousand miles away. So yeah, yeah, one
isn't
step.
that cool? That is so cool. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate that. Thank you for joining us today on
Yes, thank
ABC
you for having
Leadership.
me. Yeah.
Yay!